Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks. My name is Emily Carter. I'm from Austin, Texas, and I believe one thing with all my heart: no one, absolutely no one, has the right to treat you like you're less than human. I didn't always live by that. I used to let people walk all over me, even in my own home. But that night changed everything. Get out. I said get out. Mark's voice was so loud it rattled the glass of the picture frames on the wall. He was standing in the living room, fists clenched, face twisted with rage. And me? I was frozen in place, clutching my phone like it could somehow shield me. I didn't do anything wrong. I yelled back, my voice breaking, tears threatening to spill. You're making up stories in your head again, Mark. Don't you dare talk back to me, he bellowed, stepping forward. His face was inches from mine now, and I could smell the bitter stench of alcohol on his breath. You think you can disrespect me in my own house? I'm not disrespecting you, I shouted, voice cracking. I just want you to calm down. He didn't calm down. Instead, in one swift, violent motion, Mark grabbed a fistful of my hair and yanked so hard I stumbled backward, crying out in pain. My scalp burned, my heart raced, and my entire body trembled with shock and fear. Mark, stop. You're hurting me, I screamed, clutching at his hands, trying to pry them off me. Good, he spat, pulling tighter. Maybe you'll finally learn who's in charge around here. Those words pierced through me deeper than the pain in my head. In charge. Like I was a prisoner. Like I was his possession. I could feel the neighbors hearing our voices through the thin apartment walls, but nobody came. Nobody knocked. This wasn't the first time Mark had lost his temper, but it was the first time he crossed this line. I shoved at his chest with all the strength I had left, and by some miracle, he let go. I stumbled backward into the edge of the sofa, my hair falling messily over my face, my hands shaking. You think you can hit me and just get away with it? I shouted, my voice cracking, tears blurring my vision. I'm not staying here one more second. Oh, you're leaving, all right, he snarled, pointing to the door. Get out of my house. Don't you dare take a single thing with you. You're lucky I even let you walk out on your own 2 feet. His voice thundered in the room, but something inside me clicked. For years, I'd been too scared to stand up to him. I'd make excuses for his temper. Tell myself he was just stressed. Tell myself things would get better. But in that moment, as my scalp throbbed where he'd yanked my hair and my chest heaved from crying, I realized the truth. If I stayed, one day he wouldn't just pull my hair, he'd do worse. I stood up slowly, wiping the tears off my face with the back of my hand. My voice came out steadier than I expected. You just made the biggest mistake of your life, Mark, I said, locking eyes with him. You're going to regret this. He laughed, a cold, mocking laugh that made my stomach churn. Oh really? What are you gonna do, Emily? Run back to your mommy? Go cry to the police? They won't believe you. Nobody ever believes women like you. You're weak. You're nothing without me. Those words were gasoline on the fire building inside me. I stepped closer, my voice trembling but full of conviction. You don't get to define me anymore. You don't get to hurt me. And you're about to find out just how strong I really am. Get out, he roared again, his voice echoing through the apartment. I grabbed my bag and walked to the door, my heart pounding with fear and adrenaline. But as my hand touched the knob, I turned back one last time. You think I'm leaving with nothing, I said quietly. But you have no idea what's coming next. And with that, I stepped out into the cold night air, my legs trembling, my mind racing. The door slammed behind me so hard it rattled the frame, but I didn't look back. Not this time. I walked down the empty street, clutching my bag like a lifeline, replaying the fight over and over in my head. My scalp still throbbed where he'd pulled my hair. my heart still pounded from fear. But underneath all of that, there was something else, something I hadn't felt in years. Determination. I wasn't going to let Mark win. I wasn't going to crawl away quietly like he expected. He wanted me broken, ashamed, and afraid. But I was done being that woman. And what I did next, well, it left everyone shocked. Because this wasn't just about me anymore. This was about every time he humiliated me, every time he called me worthless, every time he used fear as a weapon. I was about to take everything he thought he owned, his power, his control, his image, and strip it away piece by piece. He thought I was weak. He thought I was leaving with nothing. But he was about to learn that when you push someone past their breaking point, they become unstoppable. This is my story. A story about finding my strength when I thought I had none left. A story about standing up when everyone expected me to fall. And if you're listening right now, if you're in that dark place, if someone is making you feel small, scared, or powerless, I need you to hear me. You are stronger than you think. You don't have to stay where you're being hurt. You deserve more. Because when you finally decide enough is enough, that's when everything changes. Now, let me tell you exactly what happened after I walked out that door. And trust me, you won't believe how far I was willing to go. Don't forget to stay with me until the end, because this story will leave you breathless. If you've ever felt underestimated or trapped, you need to hear how it all unfolds. And when you're done, share this with someone who needs to be reminded of their own strength, because nobody deserves to live in fear. The cold air hit me like a slap as I stepped outside, but I didn't stop walking. My body was still trembling, my scalp aching, my heart racing so fast I thought it might burst. For a moment, I almost turned back. I had nowhere to go, no plan, nothing but the bag slung over my shoulder. But then I heard Mark's voice in my head, mocking me, calling me weak, saying I was nothing without him. And that was all the motivation I needed to keep walking. I dialed a number on my phone with shaking hands. "Please pick up, please," I whispered into the cold night. "Emily? Are you okay?" It was Sarah, my best friend since high school. Just hearing her voice made my knees go weak with relief. "No," I said, my voice breaking. "I'm not okay. Can you come get me? Please. I can't go back there." "Where are you?" she asked urgently. I gave her the cross streets, and within 15 minutes, Sarah's car screeched up beside me. She jumped out and pulled me into a hug before I could even speak. "Oh my God, Em, what happened?" "You're shaking," she whispered, holding me tight. He pulled my hair," I choked out, tears spilling again. "He told me to get out like I was trash. I can't believe I let it get this far, Sarah. I can't believe I stayed." "Don't you dare blame yourself," she said fiercely, gripping my shoulders. "Mark is a monster, and you're not going back there. You hear me? You're not." I nodded, though I wasn't sure I believed it yet. But Sarah wasn't letting me collapse. She bundled me into the car, turned the heat all the way up, and drove me to her apartment. That night, lying on her couch with a blanket wrapped around me, I replayed every word Mark had said. Every threat. Every insult. And the more I thought about it, the clearer things became. This wasn't going to end just by me walking away. Mark wasn't the type to just let go. He would call, he would beg, he would threaten. He would try to drag me back into that toxic life. And I wasn't going to let him. By morning, I had a plan. "Emily, I don't think this is a good idea," Sarah said, pacing the living room as I scrolled through my phone. "You should call the police. Or a lawyer. Not, whatever this is." "I know how Mark works," I said, my voice steady. "He's charming when he needs to be. He'll twist the story, make me out to be the crazy one. He's done it before. If I go to the police with nothing but my word, he'll win." "But No," I cut her off. "This time I'm not playing defense. I'm taking control." I found exactly what I was looking for, a domestic violence support center downtown. They helped women like me find safe housing, legal help, and something else I desperately needed, evidence. 2 days later, I walked back into my old apartment. Mark had called me a dozen times, each voicemail more manipulative than the last. "Baby, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. You know I just lost my temper, don't blow this out of proportion. If you don't come back by tonight, you'll regret it. Don't test me, Emily." I saved every single one of those messages. When I stepped inside the apartment, Mark was waiting. Well, look who finally decided to come home," he sneered, arms crossed. "You think you can just disappear for 2 days and I'm not gonna do anything about it?" I held my bag tighter and forced myself to stay calm. "I came back to get my things." "Oh, no you don't," he said, stepping toward me. "You're not leaving me, Emily. You belong here. With me. And if you think you can just waltz in and take your stuff." "Don't touch me," I said sharply, cutting him off. He froze, clearly shocked that I had spoken to him that way. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," I said, my voice louder now. "You don't own me, Mark. You never did. And if you so much as lay a finger on me again, I will make sure you regret it for the rest of your life." His face twisted with anger, but before he could speak, I pulled out my phone and hit play. "Baby, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it," Mark's own voice filled the room from the voicemail recording. Then the next one, "If you don't come back by tonight, you'll regret it. Don't test me, Emily." Mark's face went pale. "Where did you?" "I've been recording everything," I said, holding the phone steady. "Every voicemail. Every threat. Every time you've tried to intimidate me. And guess what, Mark? The police already have copies. So go ahead. Try me. Because if you so much as blink the wrong way at me, you're done." "You wouldn't." "I would," I cut him off. "I'm done being scared of you. I'm done letting you control me. And if you think I'm bluffing, go ahead. Put your hands on me one more time. I dare you." For the first time in years, Mark backed away. I walked past him, grabbed my suitcase, and headed for the door. But before I left, I turned back. "Oh, and Mark?" I said, my voice icy. "You're going to find out what it feels like to lose everything. Because what I do next, you'll never see it coming." That was the last time I set foot in that apartment. I moved into a safe house through the support center, filed for a restraining order, and finally, started to breathe again. But I wasn't finished. Mark had always prided himself on his perfect public image. The successful businessman, the charming husband, the guy everyone trusted. Nobody would believe what he was really like behind closed doors. So I showed them. With the help of the support center and a lawyer they connected me with, I filed a full police report with the evidence I'd collected. And when the restraining order was granted, it was like a weight had been lifted from my chest. But that was just the beginning. The real shock came 3 weeks later, at the company gala where Mark was set to receive an award. I wasn't supposed to be there. But I walked into that ballroom in the same red dress he'd once told me I wasn't worthy enough to wear, my head held high, my lawyer at my side. When Mark saw me, he froze. "What are you doing here?" he hissed, his perfect smile never slipping for the cameras around us. "Just enjoying the show," I said sweetly. Because what Mark didn't know was that the police investigation was complete. And just as he was stepping up to the stage to accept his award, 2 officers approached from the side of the room. "Mark Carter," one of them said loudly. "You're under arrest." The entire ballroom went silent. Cameras flashed. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mark looked at me as the officers cuffed his hands behind his back, pure shock written across his face. "You did this," he spat. "Yes," I said calmly. "I did. And you're never going to hurt me, or anyone else, ever again." And just like that, Mark's carefully crafted life crumbled. But that wasn't even the most shocking part. Because what I chose to do next would take everything even further. I wasn't just going to survive. I was going to build something beautiful from the ashes he left behind. And I was going to make sure every single woman out there who felt trapped and powerless knew there was a way out. If you're listening and you've ever felt like Emily, like the walls are closing in and there's no escape, please know, you have more power than you think. Reach out. Tell someone. Don't wait for things to get worse. Because the moment you decide to fight back, everything changes. The night Mark was arrested felt like a dream. I watched him being led away in handcuffs, his perfectly tailored suit wrinkled, his face pale with panic. People whispered all around me, cameras flashed, and for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. But as I stood there, my hands still shaking, a truth settled deep in my chest: this wasn't the end. Mark's arrest was a victory, yes, but I knew him better than anyone. He had money, connections, and a talent for twisting the truth. He'd fight the charges, hire the best lawyers, and do everything in his power to crawl out of this mess. And if he succeeded, I knew he would come after me. I couldn't let that happen. That night, back at Sarah's apartment, I sat at her kitchen table with my laptop open and a notebook filled with everything I knew about Mark, every shady deal at his company, every person he'd manipulated or stepped on to climb the ladder, every secret he thought I didn't know. Are you sure about this?" Sarah asked, watching me scribble furiously. "The police have him now. Maybe you should just focus on healing." "I will," I said, not looking up. "But Mark's entire life is built on lies, and the only way to make sure he never hurts anyone again is to burn it all down. He took everything from me. My confidence, my peace, my sense of safety. I'm not just going to sit here and hope the system does the right thing. I'm taking control of my own life." Sarah stared at me for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Then I'm with you. Whatever you need, I've got you." And with that, we started building the case, not just for the court, but for the court of public opinion. I reached out to women's advocacy groups and told them my story. I gave interviews under my full name, even though it terrified me, because I wanted people to know the truth about who Mark Carter really was. The first article went live a week later. He called me weak. He was wrong, the wife who fought back against abuse. It went viral overnight. Women from all over the country flooded my inbox with messages of support, sharing their own stories of survival. I cried reading each one. For the first time, I didn't feel alone. But the media attention also painted a target on my back. Mark's attorney released a statement the next day claiming I was fabricating stories for financial gain and that I was mentally unstable. "Of course he's going to say that," Sarah said as we read the statement online. "It's the oldest trick in the book. Discredit the victim." I clenched my fists. He's not going to win this time. I won't let him. Meanwhile, Mark's company, an exclusive real estate firm, was scrambling to distance themselves from him. But I knew they were complicit. I'd heard enough whispered conversations over the years to know Mark wasn't the only one cutting corners and breaking laws. So I dug deeper. I called a former employee I'd met at one of Mark's corporate dinners. Her name was Lauren, and I remembered how miserable she'd looked that night, stuck at the far end of the table while Mark and his partners made deals and laughed like kings. "Emily," she said when she answered the phone. I didn't expect to hear from you." "I know this is a lot," I said gently, "but I need your help. I'm trying to make sure Mark never gets the chance to hurt anyone else again. And I think you know things that could help me." There was a long pause, and then she whispered, "Meet me tomorrow. But not at my apartment. Somewhere public." The next day, we met at a busy coffee shop downtown. Lauren looked around nervously before leaning across the table. "I saw things," she said in a low voice. "Illegal things. Mark was taking money under the table from developers. They were bribing city officials to push projects through, and he made me sign off on fake invoices to hide the payments. When I threatened to go to HR, he told me I'd regret it." My stomach turned, but I wasn't surprised. Do you have proof? I asked. Lauren nodded. I kept copies of the emails. I knew someday I might need them. But if I hand them over, I'm risking my career. He'll ruin me. I reached across the table and took her hand. He can't ruin us if we stand together. If we expose him, we can take away his power. Please, Lauren. Help me do this. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. Okay. I'm in. The evidence Lauren gave me was a bombshell. With the help of my lawyer, I handed everything over to the district attorney. Now Mark wasn't just facing domestic violence charges, he was facing potential fraud and corruption charges, too. And that was when everything changed. 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from Mark's attorney. Emily, he said stiffly. My client would like to make a deal. He's willing to plead guilty to the domestic violence charges and accept a sentence, if you agree not to release any further information to the media. I could hear the desperation in his voice. Mark's entire world was collapsing, and he was finally starting to realize it. I took a deep breath. Tell Mark I don't make deals with men who hurt me. He can face the consequences like the rest of us. And I hung up. The next time I saw Mark was in court. He was thinner, paler, and his confident smirk was gone. He couldn't even look me in the eye as the judge read out his sentence, 2 years in prison for domestic violence and additional charges pending for fraud. I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. I just felt free. But I also felt a fire still burning inside me. Because I realized something, I wasn't satisfied with just surviving. I wanted to help others survive too. A month later, I launched the Phoenix Project, a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping survivors of domestic violence rebuild their lives. We provided housing, legal aid, therapy, and job training, all the things I wished I'd had when I first walked out that door. On opening day, I stood in front of the small crowd gathered at our rented community center and shared my story. My voice didn't shake. I thought I was alone, I said, looking at the women in the crowd. I thought no one would believe me, and that I had no way out. But I was wrong. And I want you to know, you are not alone either. You are stronger than you think, and you deserve a life without fear. That's why we're here. The applause that followed felt like a warm wave washing over me. And then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a familiar face step into the room. My breath caught in my throat. It wasn't Mark, he was still behind bars. It was someone else I hadn't expected to see again. Someone whose presence could change everything. I stared as they walked toward me, my heart pounding. Because I knew, deep down, that my story wasn't finished yet. Stay with me, because what happens next is something I never saw coming. Just when I thought I'd closed the chapter on my old life, the past came walking right back through the door. And the decision I had to make would test everything I'd built. The room seemed to fall away as I watched the figure walking toward me. Conversations faded, applause quieted, and all I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. It was Mark's brother, Daniel. I hadn't seen him in over 2 years, not since a strained family dinner where Mark belittled me in front of everyone and Daniel sat there, silent. Unlike Mark, Daniel had always been quieter, less flashy, but there was a sharpness in his eyes that made me uneasy even back then. Now, as he stepped into the room full of survivors and volunteers, his presence felt like a storm cloud rolling in. Emily, Daniel said softly when he reached me. His voice was calm, but his jaw was tight. Can we talk? Privately? Every instinct in me screamed to say no. This isn't the time, I said firmly, clutching the microphone a little tighter. If you have something to say, you can say it here. He glanced around the room, at the women seated in folding chairs, the volunteers setting up coffee at the back. Then his gaze came back to me, hard and cold. It's about Mark, he said quietly. The name sent a ripple of tension through me, even now. What about him? Daniel leaned closer. He's appealing. And he's got new evidence that could blow your whole case apart. My stomach dropped. That's impossible, I whispered. Nothing's impossible when you've got friends in the right places, Daniel said grimly. You think he's going to stay in prison for 2 years? Emily, Mark is coming for you. And when he gets out, he's not going to stop until he's taken everything from you. I felt the blood drain from my face. For months, I'd been building this new life, creating the Phoenix Project, finally feeling safe again. But the thought of Mark walking free, of him finding me, sent a shiver down my spine. I have the restraining order, I said, my voice shaking despite my best effort. He can't touch me. Daniel gave a humorless laugh. You really think a piece of paper is going to stop him? You know what he's capable of. You saw it firsthand. My throat tightened. He wasn't wrong. Why are you here, Daniel? I asked finally. Why tell me this? He hesitated, then looked me dead in the eye. Because I can help you. But you're not going to like what I'm about to ask. We stepped into the hallway, away from the crowd. I folded my arms, trying to hide the fact that my hands were shaking. All right, I said. Talk. Daniel took a deep breath. Mark, he has something. Something that could destroy the Phoenix Project before it even gets off the ground. He claims you took money from his joint bank account without permission when you left. If he proves that, he can spin the story, make you look like the thief, the liar, the bitter ex-wife trying to ruin his life. That's a lie, I snapped. I didn't take a dime from him. Daniel nodded. I believe you. But the problem is, Mark's good at making lies look like the truth. He has old bank statements, doctored emails, enough to make people doubt you. And once doubt is there, you'll lose everything. I felt like the ground was shifting beneath me. So what's your solution? He hesitated, then said, drop the charges. Publicly. Make a statement saying you exaggerated the abuse. If you do that, he'll withdraw his appeal and leave the Phoenix Project alone. He'll be out of your life for good. I stared at him, stunned. You're asking me to erase everything I've been through? To make myself look like a liar? I'm asking you to be smart, Daniel said, his voice sharp now. Mark is dangerous, Emily. If you push him, he will destroy you. And I'm not going to stand by and watch that happen. I stepped back, my breath catching in my throat. I can't believe this, I whispered. I thought you came here to help me, Daniel. But you're just here to protect him, aren't you? No, he said quickly, but I could see the conflict in his eyes. I don't want to see this get worse. You don't know Mark like I do. When he feels cornered, he's capable of anything. Then maybe he should have thought of that before he laid his hands on me, I said, my voice trembling with fury. I'm not backing down. I won't betray every woman in that room just to keep your brother comfortable. If he wants a war, he's got one. Daniel's jaw tightened. Then don't say I didn't warn you. And with that, he turned and walked away, leaving me standing in the hallway with my heart pounding in my ears. That night, I barely slept. Daniel's words replayed in my head over and over, Mark is coming for you. He's capable of anything. I wanted to believe I was strong enough to face whatever came next. But fear is a tricky thing, it creeps in when you least expect it. Every time a car slowed down outside Sarah's apartment, I jumped. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach twisted. I knew I couldn't let fear control me. So I made a decision. If Mark was going to fight dirty, I was going to fight smarter. The next morning, I met with my lawyer and told him everything Daniel had said. Do you think he's bluffing? I asked. My lawyer shook his head. I wish I could say yes, but Mark's appeal is moving faster than we expected. If he has falsified evidence, we need to get ahead of it. We need someone inside his circle, someone who can tell us what he's planning. Someone like Daniel, I said slowly. The lawyer nodded. If you can convince him to help us, we might stand a chance of shutting this down before it goes to court. I stared at the floor. Daniel already made it clear whose side he's on. Then change his mind, my lawyer said. Show him the truth about his brother. It was easier said than done. Daniel ignored my calls for 2 days. Finally, I showed up at his office unannounced. He looked up from his desk, clearly annoyed. Emily, I told you. No, I said firmly, stepping inside. You're going to listen to me. Because deep down, you know Mark is guilty. You've seen it. You've watched him tear people apart for years, and you've done nothing. But this is your chance to do the right thing. Daniel's expression flickered, but he stayed silent. You think I'm exaggerating? I said, my voice breaking. You think I'm just another bitter ex-wife? Fine. Come with me. Meet the women I'm helping. Hear their stories. And then tell me you still think Mark deserves to walk free. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he sighed. One chance, he said finally. I'll come. But if this is just some stunt to get me on your side. It's not, I said, my voice steady. You'll see for yourself. I brought Daniel to the Phoenix Project the next day. He sat in a circle of survivors as they shared their stories, his arms crossed tightly, his expression unreadable. But I saw the way his jaw clenched when one woman described how her abuser isolated her from her family. I saw the flicker of shame when another said no one ever believed her. After the meeting, Daniel pulled me aside. You were right, he said quietly. I've been blind. Mark, he's worse than I ever realized. Then help me stop him, I said. Daniel nodded slowly. I will. But you need to be ready, Emily. Because once we start digging, we might find things about Mark that go even deeper than you imagined. I swallowed hard. I'm ready. But I wasn't ready for what came next. Because the evidence Daniel helped me uncover didn't just implicate Mark. It pointed to someone else. Someone I trusted. And when I saw the name on those documents, my blood ran cold. Don't miss what happens next. The betrayal I discovered shook me to my core and changed everything. Just when I thought I knew who my allies were, I realized the truth was far more dangerous and personal than I ever imagined. When I saw the name on those documents, I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Sarah. My best friend. The woman who had picked me up off the street the night I fled Mark's apartment, who'd held me when I sobbed, who had promised to stand by me through everything, her name was right there on the bank transfers and email chains Daniel uncovered. She had been quietly siphoning money from Mark's company for years, using accounts connected to the Phoenix Project to launder it. And now, if Mark's appeal succeeded, he could point to those accounts and say I was part of it too. I stared at the evidence in my hands, my vision blurring with tears. This can't be right. Sarah would never. She did, Daniel said quietly. The money trail doesn't lie. And Mark knows it. That's why he's confident he can win. He doesn't just want to take you down, Emily. He wants to burn everything you've built to the ground, and he's going to use Sarah to do it. I dropped into the nearest chair, my whole body trembling. I can't believe this. She's the only person I trusted. Daniel crouched down in front of me, his voice firm. Then you need to confront her. Now. If she's working with Mark, you have to know before it's too late. That night, I went back to Sarah's apartment. My heart felt like a stone in my chest as I knocked on the door. She opened it with a warm smile, like nothing was wrong. Hey, you, she said. You look exhausted. Do you want some tea? I held up the documents, my hands shaking. You're stealing from the Phoenix Project. The smile fell from her face instantly. What? She whispered. Don't play dumb, Sarah, I said, my voice breaking. I trusted you with everything, my safety, my future, and all this time you were taking money, making it look like it was mine. Her face went pale. She shut the door behind me and lowered her voice. Emily, please, you don't understand. I didn't want to involve you in this. Involve me? I choked. You've destroyed me. Mark has this evidence, Sarah. He's going to use it to walk free, and when he does, he'll come after me. After all of us. Tears filled her eyes. I swear I didn't mean for this to happen. I only took a little at first, I was drowning in debt, and Mark offered me money to sign off on fake invoices. I thought I could pay it back. But it snowballed, and then he threatened me. He said if I didn't keep doing it, he'd expose me and take you down too. Emily, I was trying to protect you. I shook my head, numb. Protect me? By betraying me? I'm sorry, she sobbed, falling to her knees. Please, Emily, you're all I have left. Don't turn me in. We can fix this together, I promise. Just, please don't give up on me. I stared down at her, my heart ripping in two. Sarah had been my lifeline when I was at my lowest. But now I knew she was also the reason I was in this nightmare. I wanted to scream, to cry, to walk out and never look back. But I didn't. Because I realized something in that moment, Mark wasn't just trying to destroy me. He was using Sarah, manipulating her fear, just like he used to do to me. And I wasn't going to let him win. Get up, I said quietly. Sarah blinked up at me, confused. What? Get up, I repeated. If you want a second chance, you're going to help me bring Mark down, for good. No more lies. No more secrets. We do this together, or I hand all of this over to the police and let you face the consequences alone. She hesitated for a long, trembling moment. Then she nodded. Okay. I'll help. The plan was risky, but it was the only way. Mark's appeal hearing was scheduled for the following week. We knew he'd come armed with doctored evidence and accusations designed to destroy me. But what Mark didn't know was that Sarah had agreed to testify about everything. We spent hours preparing, going over every transaction, every email, every threat he'd made. Daniel helped us gather additional evidence from Mark's company, and my lawyer built the strongest case possible. But the night before the hearing, Sarah almost backed out. What if he comes after me? She whispered, wringing her hands. You don't know what he's capable of, Emily. He'll ruin my life. I reached across the table and took her hands in mine. He's already ruined too many lives. This is how we stop him. Together. I promise you, we'll get through this. The next day, we walked into the courtroom side by side. Mark was already there, looking smug in a tailored suit, as if he were attending a business meeting rather than an appeal hearing. When he saw Sarah with me, his smirk faltered. Emily, he said smoothly as we passed. You're making a mistake. No, I said, meeting his gaze. You are. The hearing was intense. Mark's attorney tried everything, discrediting me, painting Sarah as a bitter ex-friend trying to save herself, twisting the evidence to fit their narrative. But then Sarah took the stand. She told the court how Mark had coerced her into laundering money, how he'd threatened to frame me if she didn't comply. She handed over the real bank records, the unedited emails, the text messages where Mark admitted to everything. The courtroom was silent as the evidence mounted against him. Mark's mask slipped. He went from smug to furious, his face red as he realized he was losing control. This is all lies, he shouted, slamming his hands on the table. She's lying. They're all lying. But no one believed him anymore. When the judge announced the decision, I felt like I could finally breathe. Mark's appeal was denied. Not only that, but the fraud and corruption charges Daniel and Sarah helped uncover were officially filed. He was facing years behind bars, real years this time, not a slap on the wrist. As the bailiffs led him away, Mark turned and locked eyes with me. You think you've won, he spat. But I'll never stop. I stepped forward, my voice calm and steady. You already have. You just don't know it yet. When it was over, Sarah broke down in tears. I'm so sorry, Emily, she whispered. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I hugged her tightly. This isn't about deserving. It's about rebuilding. And that's what we're going to do. Together. Months later, the Phoenix Project was thriving. We moved into a larger space, hired more staff, and expanded our programs. Survivors from across the state came through our doors, finding the support they needed to start over. At our one-year anniversary event, I stood on the stage and looked out at the crowd. Daniel was there. Sarah was there. Dozens of women and children were there, their faces full of hope. This organization was born out of pain, I said, my voice carrying through the room. But pain doesn't define us. What defines us is what we do with it. We rise. We rebuild. And we remind the world that we are stronger than anyone ever believed. The applause that followed was thunderous. And for the first time, I felt truly free. If you're listening right now and you feel trapped, please hear me, you are not alone. There is a way out, and there are people who will help you find it. Don't let fear keep you where you are. Don't let anyone convince you that you're weak or worthless. Because you are stronger than you think. And when you finally decide enough is enough, you won't just survive. You'll rise.